This is going to be a very different setup than what you have seen before. We are going to have our unknowns as usual. Everything looks, I know everything looks the same to you, but there's something very, very different here. You're going to put all your, your unknowns up here, right? Just the way you have them in your, I didn't explain that before. What you're trying to, well, I did explain it, just didn't emphasize it enough. What you want to do is you want to minimize that amount of money that you're investing on day one. That's what you want to do. You want to meet this obligation at the lowest possible cost. So you want to minimize F. But notice, there's nothing else here. My objective formula doesn't have anything else. I just want to minimize F. That's what I want to minimize. So I'm going to put F, and then I'm going to put a 1 underneath. Okay? Minimize F. That's what that means. F1. Then I'm going to have all the unknowns, but notice the unknowns are not in my objective formula. They're not here. That's why this is so strange, so different. And then, which is even weirder, you're going to set the coefficient for all of them. You're going to set it to 0. So when they multiply, they get wiped out. That way, you only end up with the minimum fund, which is this. Okay, so this is the first huge difference. All right, you're going to have the F equals to 1 here, and then you're going to have the rest of the unknowns, and then the coefficients are going to be 0 for all of them. Then you're going to get to your Z, and your Z is also going to be very, very different. Look, your Z, your sum product, usually selects both ranges, the entire range, right? It goes from all the way from here to here. But no, look, I'm actually selecting only from here to here and from here to here. So the ranges are even, but they're not including the F. I am not including the F. I'm only including the rest of the unknowns. And you leave it like that. The rest of the problem is the same. The rest of the problem is like any other problem. So you plug in all your data from the constraints up here, being very, very careful. You notice the patterns here? This is what this pattern is telling me, is that there is a carryover situation, that money is invested in the previous month, and then the next month, that money is rolled into that same investment and available into the next month. It's just rolling at 1.04, which is 4% return. Okay? And here, pay attention, you see, right there, that's when those 3 bonds mature. Oh, by the way, here's a little note to remind you to look at that. Okay? Then this looks the same. This looks weird that up here we have a different sum product, but down here for the constraint, no, that's normal. We multiply the entire range by the other range. Okay, and I'm going to check my last one, as I usually do. Okay, that looks good. Now, okay, we're going to go to solver. You're going to set the objective, which is the Z, to a minimum, yeah, by changing the variables. This is the same from C49 through N35, from C35 through N35, which is this range right here. That's that range, subject to the following constraint. And look, I only have one constraint because they're all the same. I mean, yeah, you see, all of them are equal to all of, the ones, the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. That's all. That part is easy. Make your constraints non-negative, simplex LP, hit the solve button. You come up here, and look how different this looks. Usually, you will come for the answer, you will look in the Z, right here, right? But no, because this very special setup in Solver, the answer is actually right here. That's your answer. $1.7 million. That's how much you need to invest. $1.7 million on day one, and you need to invest 329,000 in bond 1, 228,000 in bond 3, and then you're going to have this carryover. But if you do that, you will have enough money to meet these obligations, and that's the bare minimum amount of money that you need to invest to meet those obligations. Very tough problem, very complicated, very confusing, but it's all about the framework. It's all about the structure that we're using here. Okay?